All right, it is July the 18th, 2024, and this is EDLS 740. And wow, this is the last Zoom session. I don't know about you all, but this summer semester has really flown by. It just really surprised me when I looked on the in the class in the course shell and realized this was session number 7, the last one. So we're definitely getting there, definitely getting there. So we will not be meeting again for Zoom unless you need to. If for some reason you need between now and the end of the semester, and I said this when we were together over the weekend. Even after this course, if there's anything I can help you do when you get into your dissertation phase, I'll be happy to help you do that. We can always do a Zoom if you need help. To do a group Zoom, a small group Zoom, or individual Zoom as you continue on. I look forward to keeping track of you and hear about you defending your proposals and your dissertation and getting your doctorate, and hope to be able to attend the graduation ceremony when you walk across stage and get hooded. So it is getting closer. Just keep that in front of your mind. That's the goal. That's the goal. And keep that thought. That's the vision that you want to work towards, and I know you all will do it. So I am going to share the agenda. If I can. There it is. There we go. There we go. I finally found it. Okay, so I'm going to share the agenda tonight. As I said, is July 18th at session number 7. We'll have a welcoming activity in just a moment. We all know what our norms, our meeting norms are. I don't know why I typed that twice. Meeting norms, meeting norms. If that's been on every other agenda, I have not noticed that until now. So I guess that'll be a little correction for me later on. I do want to talk about weekend one, just some attendance items and weekend one activity for grading. I'm going to speak to that just in a moment. Then we are going to hear from Gary as presenter. I think Gary goes first as presenter 10, and then, okay, whichever, I'm good with
Yeah,
it.
10,
Okay.
10, you're right.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. And then Catherine would be presenter number 11. Then we'll just talk about some Zoom session wrap up and final items, and then we'll do an optimistic closure. So one thing I did want to start out this meeting with, this session with, as far as our people first welcoming activity, is I want you to think a moment. What here recently, and it could be, when I say recent, it could be within the last year, it could be within the last month, last week, or even the last hour. What's been a huge win for you here recently? Something that you feel really good about, some kind of accomplishment that you may have experienced here recently, or maybe it might just even be I got the grass mowed before it started raining, and that's a win because that's really something that's been stressing me out. So something that's a win for you, and then something that's a wish. What's something that you wish for at this point in time, and then what's your worry? So I want you to think a few moments and come up with a win, a wish, and a worry. And I will share, and I'm not doing this just so I can share this, but um, I was this past week. I was at the Career and Technical Education Summer Conference in North Carolina. It's a state conference that the North Carolina Association of Career and Technical Education host, and I will actually was CT Administrator of the Year for 2023-2024 for the Northwest region. So, which means a lot to me more than some other things that I've. No, you don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. I'm sorry. Could you do that again? I didn't quite hear it. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Teresa, you're so sweet. Thank you. But you're nominated and voted on by your peers, so that really made me feel good, and I just thank the good Lord that He saw fit to give me that blessing, and I go on and compete at the state level. But that was a win. A wish for me is I wish I hadn't spent the last 2 weeks in conference. So I was at our administrator conference week before last, and then this past week I've been at CTE conference, and next week I think I may have talked talked about this over the weekend. Next week is the Federal Programs Directors Conference, but I'm not going to it because I have got so much to do. I've got to get our federal applications written. So that's the wish. I'm worried about getting those federal applications completed in time. I may have to do a little bit of weekend work on my own and in the evenings to get that done. So that's kind of a little worry that I've got, but we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get there. So that's mine. So I'm going to stop the share and thank you very much for your nice comments and your thoughtful comments in the chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. So we'll go around and what's your win, wish, and worry? Anybody want to? And Bridget, I see your hand. So it's good to see you. I love your hair. It looks great.
Oh, thanks. Oh, you're too kind. So my win, I had the opportunity to participate in a restorative practices train the trainer session for the last 3 days. And so that was a win because it was really exciting, great information. My wish, we are about 3 weeks, two or 3 weeks before teachers come back in the building. And so I wish we had more time. And my worry is just making sure that I tighten up all the details and all the plans and all the things before or by the time we have everybody back.
Very good. I understand completely. I'm glad you've enjoyed that train the trainer. That's fantastic. And wow, that surprised me. But you're right. I mean, for a lot of districts in the area that I live, not the area that I work in, the area that I live, I think students are coming back August. It's either the 6th or the 8th. I can't remember. And it's just wow, 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 wow. Summer flies by. All right, who's next? Yes, sir, Mr. Roy. Yes, sir.
So all three of mine are related to school and dissertation. My win is staying the course. And I think we all can relate to that, staying the course to this point, getting to the final course of the coursework. As much as we all at some point probably wanted to take a break or step away. And so that's definitely a win. My wish is that I had more time, and that I could do better with making more time. And then my worry is keeping the momentum. I feel like I picked up some momentum here in the last couple of weeks as we are in the 9th hour. And so keeping that momentum as, like Bridget said, school is getting ready to start and all of the things can roll back onto our plate. So, keeping that momentum and continuing to work.
Good ones, absolutely, absolutely, and that's great. Once you get that momentum, you just like just let me keep plugging away. Just let me keep plugging away. I don't want anything to sidetrack me. So yeah, it's very very relevant. Thank you for your comments. All right, who's next? Hey Teresa, you got a pretty smile on this evening. You must have a really good win.
I do. I found out on July 1st that one of my teachers, and I had my teachers hired all by the 1st of May. One of them took a position as a AP in his district where he was. So I was scrambling trying to find someone. So I interviewed today. I also found our district does long-term subs. So I'm getting a long-term sub. So I interviewed 2 young ladies today who were perfect fits. So that was my win. My wish is that I could get my car back tomorrow. My husband hit a deer Mother's Day. So that was right after the hailstorm here in Rock Hill. So all of the body shops were jam-packed and full. And as of yesterday, she said, it'll be 1 more week. And she told me that 2 weeks ago. So that's my wish. And my worry is just staying on task to finish and get everything done so that I only have 2 more semesters and not more.
Excellent. Wow. Well, congratulations. That is a great feeling having the people hired and in place, especially when it's someone you feel good about and being in the building. I've done that. I've never hired a warm body. I've always hired the best that I could. But sometimes you're like, well, may not be the best person I could have found, but it's the only person I could have found, and then we're just going to have love them to get better. So I understand that. Nobody was hurt with the deer accident, were they? Except for the deer, of course.
No, just the vehicle. They actually have everything in, and it's funny. It was only 3 months old.
Oh, bless you.
And it was a pretty big one, and we did not see the damage to the radiator, but when they ran the diagnostics, it actually punctured the radiator.
My
So they're
goodness.
waiting on that last part
Wow.
to
Wow.
finish up. So
Well, I hope and pray it happens soon. I hope and pray it
I
does.
hope so.
So Tanya, I'm going to read Tanya's. Tanya entered into the chat, and you could probably see that, but she has a bad. Said I don't have a good connection, so I will share here. So Tanya said I was able to find my last teacher position this week. So good for Tanya, as we were talking about. That's a great feeling right at this time of year. I wish that all of my international teachers would be able to start the first day of school. Yeah, we have had those before, and that's always an extra complication or dynamics when dealing with those. So yeah, I can understand that completely. And said I'm worried about who will be a substitute for the fifth grade class until the international teacher arrives. So it's this time of year, all educators, it's revolving around the beginning, closing things out and starting the new school year. So Tanya, certainly hope and pray that you do find somebody to fill in that fifth grade spot before the teacher arrives. So that leaves Catherine and Suzanne. Would either one of you like to go and share your win, wish, and worry?
Yes, I would be happy to. And my apologies. Good evening, everyone. My camera is just not cooperating. Even when I turn it on, it's no camera. But I was gonna say for the win, we received confirmation today from finance that we came in under budget for summer reading camp this year. So I mean, we kind of knew, but this was kind of like the formal confirmation, and that is a credit to the team and all the hard work on that. But it was nice to see that written out on the spreadsheet. And my wish and worry are kind of connected to the dissertation writing, just wishing for more time to write. But I know that's just going to come from proactive, scheduling. And I do worry about the timelines that are fast approaching for things like, IRB and other things. But that's my last two connected to dissertation.
Oh, great. Well, no problem on the camera. I understand that completely. Technology happens when it happens. So, and congratulations on the win. That's awesome, and certainly understand your wish and weary. And as I said earlier, if I can help with anything as you reach that phase, let me know. Suzanne, are you in a good spot where you could share? I don't. It looks like you're traveling, so.
Yes, sir. My husband and I are actually traveling. That's probably a win for me. The fact that I actually got him to get off of work and be able to train, because a lot of times he's not. And my wish probably just falls right along in line with Catherine's. Just wishing that I had a little more time in the day to be able to get things accomplished, particularly with my dissertation. And then just as Catherine said, just not necessarily worrying, but just very much thinking about and contemplating those deadlines that are approaching, and trying to ensure that I get the tasks completed that are needed to be completed.
Absolutely, and I hope and pray you and your husband have safe travels and enjoy the time together. That's awesome. So I understand that. I tell you, I used to tell when I was a dissertation chair, I just tell the people I'm working with, it's a fine balance. In one respect, I say write something every day, even if it's just 20 minutes. Sit down and write for 20 minutes, and keep your creative juices flowing and your thought pattern, and just keep a consistency. And then I've told candidates also, there's nothing wrong with taking some time off and taking a day off and just kind of rejuvenating yourself. So it's a fine line on doing that. But I think if you try to set some period of time every day to write, or some period of time during the week, maybe 4 out of 5 days, I'm gonna write. Then for me, my best time, and I hate to say it, and this was when I was a principal, my best time was between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. I did my best writing during that those hours. Now that made for a rough day the next day, but I don't know, that's just when everybody was in bed and I could kind of get off to myself in the corner. I did my best writing. Got a lot accomplished between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So, but like I said, I wasn't able to do that every day. So you got to find out what works for you. But I have no doubt all of you are going to do fantastic. You're highly motivated, highly intelligent, a great group. So I have no doubt in my mind that you're not going to come through, and just really do a great job. So, Walter, Teresa, thank you for letting us know. Walter is going to be logging on here in just a little bit. He's leaving work, so we'll certainly bring him in when he shows up. Excuse me. So we're going to go back to the agenda, and thank you for sharing that. And now we all know what to celebrate with each other, and then we all know how to pray for each other. So that's always a good little activity. So I want to talk about weekend one, and just a couple of things, just briefly, and then we'll get into the chapter presentations. And I'm gonna let you guys know. We're probably going to end early tonight, and that's okay. We're not going to sit around and hang out until 8:30 p.m. When we get done, we're done for the evening, last class, and you can use that extra time to work on a few things, or wrap up some things that you might need to wrap up. So just know that when we get done this evening, regardless of the time, then we'll call it a night. If you were not, whether you're joining live right now, or you want to watch the recording of this video, if you weren't able to attend one of our weekend two together, we certainly did miss you, and I appreciate. I can't remember who all contacted me right now, but I know all of you did. But I appreciate you letting me know that you weren't going to be there and that you were going to be attending, whether it Dr. Williams' class or someone else's class. When you do that, if you will just be sure and send me an email letting me know that you did that. For Jonathan Jeffries, and I think it's Marquita that was in our weekend class that weekend, what I did was I emailed the professor and let them know that they were present and participated in the activity. So if you just ask whoever you're attending to make up that last weekend, if you'll just ask them to send me an email, that way I can mark you as attending for that weekend too, whether you were actually there on the date or not. We do have to mark attendance in Blackboard Shell, and so when I get the email from you and the professor that you were attending that makeup session, then that will allow me to make sure that I mark attendance. Now, for the weekend one activity, for those of you who were there, the weekend one activity was basically just doing the first couple of sections of the CEP. So in the assignments, if you'll notice, I have assignments for weekend two, work in attendance. And I said weekend two is basically just the assignment was a little bit different, and I appreciate those who uploaded that. And then right here I have CEP Part A and Part B. So for the weekend two assignment, if you will go ahead and be sure that you upload that weekend activity. If you're wondering or can't remember what it is or want to know what it is, even if you didn't attend and you want that to be your weekend two, it is right here in the weekend two folder. It is weekend two activity that gives any instructions, and basically what that is doing stuff and getting ready for your CEP A and B. So if you were not able to attend weekend 2 and you're attending another professor's course, you can have the option of uploading or completing my weekend 2 activity and uploading that into the course shell. Or if you did an activity with the professor, the makeup professor, for the lack of a better phrase, then you can upload that activity in here to let me know that you did participate in their weekend 2 activity. Either way, is fine with me, just so something like I can have something to document and give you a grade for that and to justify that grade. So then you will also need to upload Part A and Part B of the CEP. I know the deadline for that is tomorrow, and if that's one of your worries, even though you didn't phrase it, let me help you out with that. I'm okay if you miss that deadline, if you get it into me here pretty soon. The main goal is that we get the final copy in by July the 30th. That's the main goal. Now, I do want you to upload each section separately, Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, and then do a complete final copy. So this is the way that the School of Ed has set up the coursework for EDLS 740. So I do need to show a grade for each of these individual components and then the final components. And don't forget your clinical log. You can upload the clinical log anytime you want to. As soon as you get it completed, you can go ahead and upload that. The due date on that is July the 31st, but that's probably a quick hit. If you want to go ahead and get that done and get that out of the way, I'm fine with that. Any questions over what I just went over? Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. All right, let me pull the agenda back up here then. So if you look at it, you are have a few questions on if I make up a class, if I needed to make up a class, if I've already made up a class, what activity, just reach out to me. We'll get it ironed out together. The main thing is that you be sure and get attendance for we got weekend 1 attendance done. That's solid for those that were with me on weekend 2. Your attendance and just make sure you upload your activities. That's good. That's solid. You just, if you didn't attend, you're attending another professor, just be sure that I need to get documentation that you did attend a weekend 2 session and also documentation of a weekend activity, whether you do the weekend activity that I assigned this past weekend or you do the one of you participate in the with the class that you're making up. Okay, so right now we will get into our chapter presentations unless anybody has any questions. I do think I heard, there he is. Hey, Walter, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing okay.
Good, good. Yeah, Teresa did let us know that you were coming in, so appreciate you joining us. Hope everything's going on well for you.
It is now.
Good deal, good deal. Well, are you at a good place where we had our welcoming activity was sharing a win, wish, and a worry? Are you in a good place right now to share with us one win that you have, one wish that you have, and one worry that you have?
So one win will be that we have our new orientation, new hire orientation on Monday. So we've completed everything to make it successful on Monday.
Right.
So we spent all day getting that done, but we got that done. It's a win, a worry, and what was the other one?
Wish, excuse me, a win, a wish, and a worry. So what wish do you have?
I wish I was on an island laying near the beach, enjoying the beautiful weather and just relaxing.
Amen to that. What worry do you have?
One worry, starting a new job and just trying to take everything in, just wanting to be successful and do a great job. So just taking in everything, just worrying if I'm going to make, dot every I and cross every T.
You know what? I tell you the same thing I used to tell my assistant principals and some I tell the people that I work with now. You're going to make a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. That is not a problem. I just tell my people, as long as you're making a mistake going forward, as long as the mistake was made because you're trying to progress, then you're in great shape, and I know you'll do well. And I appreciate you sharing that. We had everybody do that activity. I wanted to get yours in too, because kind of what I've done is created a prayer list for everybody too. So now I know what to pray for you, that you find your way to that island at the beach sometime.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Gary, are you ready to present? All right, I'm going to turn over the co-host so you can share your screen if need be. Oops, wait a minute, I hit the wrong person here. Hold on just a minute. Okay, there you go. Okay, sir, you are ready to go whenever you're good.
Let's see. Can you see the screen?
No, not yet.
Let's try again.
Okay. You take your time, there's no rush.
All right. All right. Okay. Hmm. All right, I'm wonderful wear this MacBook here. Let's see. Okay, who can share? Let's see.
Pretty sure I've got you assigned as co-host. Let me go in there and make sure. Yeah, I've got you with co-host access, so you should be able to.
All right. Okay, I think I should be in business right now. All right.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
see?
Yes, sir, we can. Thank you.
All right, let's see. I have like one of those extended screen, so I have like three.
Got you.
Can you see the
Yeah.
slideshow?
Yes, we can. It loaded up perfectly.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
right, guys, I'll be focusing on chapter 11, employing the architect. Okay, so as you can see here, one of the most important actors in planning is actually the architect. The architect plays an important role in the school system. Some large schools do have their own architects and staff. Unfortunately, in Gaston County, I do not believe we have architect on staff, but some large school systems do. All right. So, as you all know, ultimate role of the architect is to, and I'll explain that to you, is to design the building and in some cases assist with the construction of the building, based on what I've read. All right. So there are five basic. Go back here. Make sure I can see my own screen. Oh, guys. There we go. All right, so there are five basic services expected from an architect upon being hired by a school system. We have services such as schematic design, that's one of the services they do provide, design development stage, construction document development, bidding advisement, and construction monitoring. So let's look at the first service that they do provide here. All right, during the schematic design stage or process, this is when the architect comes up with a plan when they're designing the school, and then make sure they do ensure that all the pieces fit together. And during this time, you will have an idea as to what the spaces in the building will actually look like. at this stage that they call the schematic design process. So you have an idea of what the shape of the school would be like at this stage. Next, we have the design and development stage. At this stage, you have an idea as to the non-structural system, where they're going to be, such as the electrical, plumbing, HVAC system, among other non-structural systems. Then we have the, I'm using two computers here. Then we have the construction document development. At this stage, you will have an idea as to the materials that are going to be used when they're constructing the building. In this case, for us, it could be a school building, or office, since we're in education. All right. Then we have the bidding advertisement. At this stage, the architect will provide services, that is, they will assist with securing bidders for the project. That is when they're constructing, let's say, for example, a school. And oftentimes they will recommend to the school district to accept a bid or negotiate with the, with architects whose prices are competitive. All right. Then we have the construction monitoring, as the name suggests. You'll have an idea at this stage where as to who will be on site supervising the work of the contractor. They'll give you an overview as to the status of the building project. And oftentimes they report to the school board or the facilities manager. Then we have the architectural pool. When we think of the architectural pool, just think about a number of architects. So school districts sometimes will contact local, regional, state, to identify architects who will actually do a great job with building whatever they want to build. As I said, it could be a school, it could be an office. And the school board sometimes will get involved in the interview process when they're trying to find the ideal architect for a project. Some school boards, they do not have enough time to vet different architects. So what they will do, they will perhaps, if they do decide upon an architectural firm, they will vote and in most cases enter into a contract. All right. Once the resolution is passed by the majority of the members of the board. The board is responsible for accepting or rejecting architectural firm. Architects are not oftentimes forced into the role of decision makers by the educators and school board members. There are times when the absence of clear and concise directions in the leadership might make the architect believe some decisions must be made to keep the project going. All right, one of the most important actions of the school board is to take in building or new buildings, renovate. And in most cases, the architect is responsible for designing the structure to meet the needs of, I just say, the school board here. Since they play an instrumental role in the construction of our schools. And I'm talking a lot about construction of schools because currently in Gaston County, we do have a new school being constructed. The architect is contracted by the school system personnel who need to provide guidance to the work of the architect. The best method of obtaining superior architectural services is to use a competitive method of employment where the credentials of all prospective candidates are evaluated. Oh, that was quick. So as you can see here, the school board plays an instrumental role in deciding who is the best fit as it relates to the architect who will design the building, and the architect, on the other hand, do assist with finding contractors who will actually build the structure itself. Any questions, any concerns?
Any questions for Gary? All right, good job, Gary. I appreciate you sharing that. And I tell you what, an architect will make or break your community if there's any type of new construction or big construction going on. Most of the time, school boards are going to go with people um, who they have used in the past. So it's very rare that if you get hired into a system and get into central office administration, if you're the superintendent, it's very rare that you will work with a firm of architects that hasn't already had some type of relationship with the board. Usually they tend, if they get in and have done some good projects for the school system, and develop that relationship, then the board feels more comfortable with them the next time around. I think we've used the same architects, for the last 15 architectural firm, I should say, for the last 15 or 20 years. So it's good to have those people there on hand, and then they subcontract and hire the construction, everything, and then they're right there with you with the process. But it also is very important that they can be transparent, they can articulate their role in the process, and that they have a good relationship with the board. So that's a great job, Gary. Thank you for doing that and presenting that chapter. And you've got getting quite a few accolades in the chat here. So for those of you who didn't notice, Anera has joined us. I'm not going to ask her to speak because I know she is certainly welcome to speak if she wants to, but I know that she may be feeling under the weather. So we're going to give her a bye this time unless she just chooses to speak, and that is up to her. So let me, at this point in time, we'll transition over to Catherine. Catherine, are you ready? If your camera is out, are you going to be able to do your presentation?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me do I have the rights to screen share?
Gary, if you'll stop your screen share, and then yes, Catherine, you certainly do. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we
Yes.
can. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, wonderful. So I know that, so my name is Catherine Wise, and I'm going to be presenting the final chapter, chapter 12. Final chapter sounds a little bit ominous. I shouldn't have said it like that. But everyone, the previous 11 presenters have done such an exceptional job. I will endeavor to, rise to the occasion. This chapter 12 was short, but absolutely critical because it was all about how do you monitor the design phase. So looking at everything through that lens. So for our agenda for today, we're going to start out exploring some key content from chapter 12. Then we're going to move into a quick collaboration activity just to do some processing about that key content. And then finally, we're going to do a reflection just to identify key takeaways. So starting out with exploring the key content from chapter 12, it really was all about having a design team and a design review team because you really want to have two teams that monitor that building design, one from the architectural firm and then one team from the school system, because the architectural firm, they actually complete the design work, so they're looking at it through that lens, but the team from the school system reviews the work. So you have the experts who are doing that technical work, who are making sure that everything is, that the plans are correct, things are going according to plan. But then you also have your school system stakeholders, and they're looking at things from a different perspective, because they, as the school system, of course, they know. They know all the specifics, not necessarily from the technical side, but what their goals are, what their vision is for that building. So when preparing the design review team, when a school system is creating that second team, meaning they have the architectural firm and they have the experts, but when they prepare the design review team, it sometimes can be challenging for school system staff to evaluate the work of other professionals because they might feel ill-equipped. Because, of course, they're not going to be architectural experts. That's not their background. Even if they are in auxiliary services, they're not going to have the same level of technical knowledge. But what the author recommended was just having some critical questions for the design review team to use when analyzing the work. And I see Dr. Bullis, your hand is up. Do you have a question, sir?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And I apologize for interrupting you. I'm not sure if you were intending to show your slide. Right now, what we're seeing is like the editing screen and not the actual presentation. I didn't know if that was your intention or not, but I just wanted to let you know.
Alas, let me thank you for telling me, sir. Here I am thinking I am going through the slides. This is my first time using Canva as a presentation tool, and I definitely am excited to use it. It actually was I learned about it from one of our colleagues in the cohort, Whitney. But let me see if I can't rectify the screen sharing because okay, let me see. I'm going to stop that share and try one more time. And thank you everyone for your patience. I do apologize for the technical difficulties.
Problem. You take your time, Catherine. Okay, we're seeing basically the same screen, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, now we can see it exactly. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. So it is now full screen.
Yes, ma'am, and it is in presentation mode.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to quickly, so just to review, of course, this is our agenda, and we talked about how there's going to be those two different teams. So again, going back to how with the design review team from the school district, they're not going to be experts on all the technical aspects, but they are going to be experts on what that space needs to fulfill for whatever that building's purpose is. So they're coming with very, very valuable information. But the author suggests that just to make sure that the design review team feels equipped to evaluate the work of those professionals, just to provide some key questions for them. Things about traffic patterns, the relationships between components of the facility, number and types of spaces, and utility services. So questions like, are the noisy areas separated from the other areas? Are these spaces in the needed relationships with each other when we think about entrances and exits? And of course, the questions you use are going to depend upon the building itself, the purpose of the building. Is it an athletic facility? Is this, a primary school, an intermediate school, a high school? All of those different things to consider, but just having those questions, but making sure the design review team knows too, they're not the technical experts and they don't need to be. They are reviewing the work, but they're looking at it from another lens, but making sure that they can be purposeful in their questioning and their review process. So some other key items from the chapter were the importance of keeping the project within budget. And of course, we all know this, but I like the way the author summarized that really there are only two ways to accommodate cost differences. You either reduce the project or you allocate more funds to the project. And I know that's something we even know from our personal lives, right? If it's not within budget, if there's a cost difference, there's really only two things you can do. You either reduce what you were going to do or you allocate more funds. It also talked about the importance of uniform building codes because ultimately the state's building codes are going to govern the design and construction of all public buildings. And then the steps of approval, where there's going to be formal approval, like with the school board, as Principal Koch shared in his presentation, and then the informal approval that comes from the design review team when they give that feedback to the architectural firm and the experts kind of along the way to provide that informal feedback. So really the key takeaways from this chapter being that you have your team of experts, but you also have your design review team made up of stakeholders from the district. You want to make sure that they feel equipped to participate in that evaluation process while still making sure that they know their role is a different one. They don't need to be experts on everything, but wanting to be able to engage with the content to stay on topic. And then just these key reminders about the process along the way. So we're going to move into a quick processing activity. So I am going to drop in the chat. This is actually the same technology tool that we used during our weekend activity. Oh, and I just see where Suzanne, thank you for letting me know about the slides. I should have had the chat open to see that. But I'm going to drop in the chat the link. And this digital board, again, I was introduced to it during our weekend class with Dr. Bullis. I'm going to see if I can't switch over to share that screen, because our goal is going to be to just to respond to that question, how and when can this information be implemented in your context? And the neat thing about this digital sticky note tool is that you can make connections once you post. So for example, a connection that I make to this is I was just talking to a colleague about an assessment platform, and it provides such valuable information, but the data reports are not particularly user friendly. So while the content is spot on, the reporting feature is not, it can kind of prevent sometimes stakeholders from utilizing the data. So I think about how we have our experts who, yes, have confirmed that it is the content is good, the data is good, but you kind of need that other review team coming in to say, hey, we have to work on the accessibility of the report. So I think of it through the lens of curriculum and instruction and data analysis of when it can be useful to, yes, you have your team of experts, but you also have another team of stakeholders that are reviewing that work of the experts. So just kind of, and that would be what you would post, just kind of a connection to practice like that. But then you'll notice where you can make a connection to someone else's, like if you really agree with what somebody else posts, or you feel like connections, you can make a connection. I thought it was so neat that this board allows for that level of collaboration too. So you can kind of, once you post your idea, you can connect to someone else's as well. And thank you so much. I can see people already jumping on the board. But again, just thinking about how this concept of having your expert team, but then a review team, having those multiple perspectives, when that could be helpful. So exciting to see the processing in real time. And again, one of the things I thought that was so unique about this from other sticky note tools like Padlet or even Jamboard is that connection feature that you can utilize as well. And I'm
Appreciate you
seeing
sharing.
such wonderful. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh, so I appreciate you sharing that, Catherine. I'm glad that you found that pinup useful and was able to take it past the weekend. So, but like usual, I just found it by accident, so it wasn't anything I did. I usually, what's the saying? A blind pig can find an acorn. So I happen to stumble across some every now and then.
You are too modest, sir, but I always love to learn a new tool, a new a new resource. But would anyone like to unmute and share any of their thoughts? I'm seeing such great things being posted. Would anyone like to unmute and share?
Well, since I kind of already had interrupted you, but I posted the yellow post-it note that being in the central office, you may never actually be directly involved with construction, but you may be on the leadership cabinet and just have a knowledge, not necessarily this chapter in particular, but this book in general will give you a good knowledge base to be able to articulate to the superintendent. Well, this is what asking questions. Do we have a design review team? And well, don't you think that would be a good idea if maybe we did? I don't know every architect company out there that works with school system is aware of that. That's the first time I've heard of it. Usually it's just the maintenance director and the architect getting together and them having that conversation themselves. So I was really encouraged to that you brought that out in the chapter.
Oh, thank you, sir. And would anyone else like to share their thoughts? Well, Dr. Bullis, you just did such an awesome job that sharing that I think, that just kind of summarizes it. But if anyone if anyone decides they would like to unmute and share, that would be wonderful too. But thank you all so much for participating on the pinup board. I'm just going to quickly go back to the presentation. Well, we'll see if it will cooperate.
Yes, ma'am, you are good to go.
Oh, wonderful. And so, just as we kind of reflect and identify key takeaways, and so many of you really kind of did this in your digital sticky notes, just kind of the importance of that teamwork, having different perspectives to inform decisions, because of course it is about acknowledging and appreciating, that expert and that technical knowledge, but understanding that you want to hear those different perspectives because it can help inform the decision making on perhaps not the technical side, but communication side. If something does need to be reduced in a budget, what is going to be it's challenge. Of course, it can't be something that is going to compromise safety or structural integrity, but out of those choices presented by the experts, stakeholders from the district are going to be in the best position to decide what can be removed. But so just as we kind of reflect and identify key takeaways, that's an individual, but just how, again, this can impact our current practice. So are there any questions? I just want to thank everybody for their time, but that does it for chapter 12.
Great job, great job. I do like that what you brought out about the budget. Honey, are we going to eat steak or spaghetti tonight? Well, how much money's in the checking account when we go grocery shopping? So we're either going to have to lower our expectations and make some changes there. We're going to have to dip into our savings account to get what we want. I really like that, and I tell you, that's why the relationship, as I said before, the relationship with the auxiliary director in this situation, it would be, some people have a director of maintenance director, or even have a construction director or supervisor. So the relationship between that person and the superintendent and the school board and the architect, it really places a lot of burden on that director to make sure that they are bringing those people together, and there's really good communication. Because on one end, you've got what the community is expecting to see in a construction or even a huge refurbishing. And then you've got what the board is expecting to see and with their lens of budget, and then what the architect is trying to deliver. So it's a different lens that everybody has to kind of bring together to make sure that what the end result is something that's good for the community, but definitely good for the students and meets the needs of those students and that community. So great job. Really good presentations. I really enjoyed listening to you and your perspective on the chapters, and I appreciate you participating in that and doing such a great job. So congratulations and a good job, Gary, and good job, Catherine. All right, I'm going to glance at the chat real quick. I missed a few. Okay, good. All right, just make sure I didn't miss something. So we'll oh man, I just about ended the meeting. That the X to close the chat box and the X to close the meeting are too close together. All right, so let's go back to the agenda. And that wraps up our presentations. And thank you again for participating in that. So as we approach our optimistic closure, does anyone have any questions about wrapping up our Zoom sessions, about where we're at now in terms of assignments that need to be turned in? Everybody feel good about the CEP? We will not be meeting this weekend, but we will be meeting for our third weekend, the weekend after this coming weekend. So, and I think that's what, the 26th? I could look it up one other way. This might be the quickest way to look it up here. Yeah, the 27th and the 28th will be meeting back in Charlotte. Anybody have any questions related to any of that? All right, so what I did at the end of our weekend 2 was I asked you to fill out a survey, and this just so it could help me better prepare for the upcoming weekend. So if you haven't done that yet, and I did ask you to hold off and have a few days to kind of process the weekend and kind of step away from it a little bit and then come back to it. Your optimistic closure is that I would like to ask you to complete that weekend 2 survey right there. The link is there. You shouldn't have a problem accessing that. But I would ask that you complete that survey in preparation for our upcoming weekend 3. And even if you didn't attend weekend 2, go ahead and complete the survey. You can put NA for nothing that's applicable, but in the general comments, if you have a comment or anything that you would like to see or any need that you'd like addressed for weekend 3, I appreciate you doing that. So the ticket out the door, if you will, for this evening is to be sure that you complete that weekend 2 survey. All right, so is there anything else for the good of the cause for this evening? It is 8 p.m., but like that song says, it's 8:30 somewhere, right? Could be 5 o'clock somewhere, so we're going to say it's 8:30 somewhere. And this will not penalize you in weekend 3. I won't make you stay a half an hour extra just to make this up. So any questions or any thoughts for the good of the cause? All right. Let me check the chat. Oh, man, you are too kind. You are way too kind. Thank you very much for saying that. That was very nice of you, and I appreciate that. But you are way too kind. I hope and pray you all stay safe and healthy. And until we see each other weekend 3, you can always reach out to me. It doesn't have to be about Garden Web. If you're up in Mount Airy somewhere and you're stranded on the side of the road and need somebody to bring you some gas or help change a tire, you got my cell phone. I'll come running. You just let me know how you need me to help. You guys awesome. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you weekend 3. God bless you all. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you, Dr. Bullis. Have a good
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
Good night.
Bye-bye.